On. Good morning to you. It is another drop and chop session. I am Desmond, and we're getting into it. So, how this works, there is a link on the bottom of your screen that will take you to my website and the page where you get all the sign in information to join the Zoom call. And there you can hop in. You'll go to the waiting room. I'll get you connected, and then you know you hop in, ask a question, and we kind of chop it up from there. So anything relating to just rapping, emceeing, even just your mindset with it. In the last session last Saturday, we ended with a really great question about how to stay motivated, and so we can talk about all kinds of things. We can get very technical. We can also talk about theory, and just me here to help you out for the next hour or so. Try to wrap it up around 9:30, and then get on with the rest of my day. So looks like everything's in order. So if you're watching this right now, in the chat, let me know where you're at, where you're representing from, and don't be scared. Let me know that people can hear me too, because sometimes you think everything's working and it's not. So let me know what's going on. Let me know if you can hear this. Let me make sure I'm coming in correctly. One of these days I'll get a moderator on the other side of the line to just be able to check this stuff for me, have energy to bounce off of it. But right now I will hold it down. So looks like it is live. I'm just checking some settings right now. Gonna hop into the control room and see what is going on. All right, gonna pop out the live chats. Pop chat out. Not now. And I might be able to see who is in the place to be. Hope everybody's feeling well. Hope you're feeling good. And I'll probably do a little bit of just talking about what's on my mind until I see some folks come through. But let's see. That's the old one. Here we are. This one. Show. Let's see. That's right. That is right. Pass off. How you doing? Yeah, I actually made it out to the protest. So I'm in Portland, Oregon, if y'all didn't know, and I made it out to kind of like the pre-protest. So there was kind of like a family-friendly protest area kind of along the route that protesters take to march into downtown, and we finally made it out to that last night, and energy was crazy. It was crazy energy, crazy positive vibes. We were able to see some folks we haven't seen in a while, and doing your best to like keep distance and all that stuff, but really, with that amount of people, it's not always possible all the time. So it was good, and just I have many, many, many feelings and emotions about the state of the world and things that are going on as it relates to justice for Floyd and all that. But I will say that right now, keeping it on a positive tip, I am encouraged that there are demonstrations all over the world where people are raising up and saying Black Lives Matter, which it's been long overdue. So it's good to see it. It's good to be alive to see something like this in my lifetime. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, so just to remind what we're doing, it is a free rap coaching session. How it works, there is a link on the screen that you go to, and it gives you all the information to get connected to the Zoom call that I'm on right now. And you get connected, I'll see you pop up in the waiting room, and then I'll admit you. You'll hop right on the screen here with me, and then we will chop it up about the craft. So that's how this works. So it is it's kind of just like a live call-in radio show, but it's a live stream show, I guess. So yeah, we're just waiting for folks to come in. I know it's early on the West Coast. I know folks have been out in the streets demanding justice. I feel good about that. So let's so you may not be awake yet, and that's cool. But either way, whether it's folks coming in and we chop it up, or if it's just me kind of talking about where I'm at, what I'm thinking about as it relates to my craft and my emceeing practices, that's what I might do. So we'll take a look here. So yeah, we're gonna keep it moving, and let me pop back on the screen just to see if everything is good. So, hey, pass off. If you are still watching, I hope you can still hear this. So at least let me know that the sound is coming through. Everything on my end is saying that my mic is working, but I want to make sure that it's coming through. So if you are watching this right now, just say, yeah, we can hear you, and let me know where you're from, where you're representing. All right. So I took a week off this week from streaming in the mornings as a way to just kind of recap and refocus, make some changes, kind of like the maintenance that you need to do for this channel. Because what I noticed when I was streaming at least just 5 days a week in May, there was not a lot of time to make like little subtle improvements that I need for this to go as smoothly as possible. And that was kind of irking me too, where it's just like that grind of like you keep doing, you're in the day-to-day grind of something, and you never really get time to like reflect and make things as good as you want them to be, because you have to do the next thing. So took this week off to just really connect to that, and I like that practice. But I'm thinking for next week, what I want to do is, usually around this time, I'm a little late with it, but usually around this time, I do some type of like challenge, monthly challenge. Usually it's a freestyle challenge. Like I just want to freestyle every day, and I usually like post it to Instagram or something like that. And so I want to do that coming up here, probably starting Monday. But instead of a month, have it being 21 days. And I'm thinking of doing a little bit of streaming with it, because more than just like, I'm thinking of calling it just it's like my how to practice freestyling series. And not so much like I'm going to show you like the way to practice freestyling, but rather I'm going to show you like my practice of freestyling. And I think I'm going to switch the time. So maybe instead of it trying to do it every morning, because I do want to do it actually 21 days straight. Like I want to try to keep a streak going of 21 days. So instead of it being just me trying to get up in the morning and do it, trying to put it at a time where it's like, all right, I know I'm awake, and I know I can do at least 10 minutes of freestyling with some reflection to make that happen. So I'm working on that project for the channel, because I'm discovering this about myself too. Like, I'm a great learner. Like, I can just get in information and like keep it in my head, and like it comes out in these various broad ways, sporadic ways. But it's when I actually apply it to a project, saying, okay, I'm going to make this thing, I'm going to do this project over this many days, that I begin to actually apply what I'm learning. So what I want to apply with my learning, so it's not about freestyling, because I know how to freestyle, so that's not it. But I'm want to learn more about habit formation. I've been teaching that to my high school students in my English classes via the web. So I want to talk more about that and learn more about that, like have an experience with it. I also want to, I've noticed some things about my habits of rhyme that I want to see if I can intentionally create some new habits. So I want to get more deliberate about multi-syllable rhyming. So I'm going to try to make that a focus. And then I think the other thing I'm focusing on with this challenge is going to be my energy, basically like the meta freestyling process, which is like the things that I'm saying to myself while I'm freestyling, the emotions I'm feeling while I'm freestyling, and really monitoring my energy. And I mean, monitoring my energy is the phrase I'll use, but even from last night when I was freestyling with my master rhyme group, I noticed that because I've been doing it more consistently, and I now start understanding where I need to put my attention, or how I need to move my attention around, it allows me to kind of start a freestyle with good energy and end a freestyle with good energy, even if I have some dips in between. And I think I'm trying to see if I can actually have a whole freestyle session, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, where I'm able to keep the energy up. Has nothing to do with like what I'm actually saying, but like the energy and the emotion within me stays up. And so, yeah, I mean, I'll talk more about it as I'm doing it through the challenge, but, and it's all about this experience of being in the present moment. So that is what I'm working towards. So if we have any folks watching, tuning in, I think right now we don't, and that's okay. I get it. It's a crazy time, and one of the things I'm working with in all this is the ability to, promotion, marketing, all that good stuff. But, it's always about showing up. It's always about being present. And, I'm looking, I don't know, what gets you through these moments, man? Like, that's a good question to think about. Like, so the moments you start out to do something big, something that not a lot of people do, and it's not the norm. When you really just start to pursue a dream and a vision for yourself, and you set out, and you might have some early victories, which I think definitely happened for me with this channel. Some early victories that gave me that momentum, and then that dip happens where the novelty of the idea wears off for people, or whatever it is. You hit like the third day, or just the day where you think, all right, yeah, we're picking it up, and no one's there. It's not there. Like, what do you tell yourself to keep going and to keep staying on the path? And I've learned this. I didn't get it right the first few times, where like the most important thing is to keep going. So if there is, no one there, and I mean, I've had shows like this where it's like you're performing for the staff, you know, the waiters, bartenders, and the promoters, and you gotta rock it like there's 1,000 people in there. At least you attempt to, because that's how you develop that skill to be able to truly rock it when there's 1,000 people in there, or even more, right? But I would be lying. I would be lying if I said that it's easy, that there's not an emotional toll that you take when you put yourself on a stage, you put yourself on a platform, and no one's there. It's like you have to battle the story of like, what am I doing this for? Like, I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my energy. You have to battle all those stories, and there's like two aspects of those stories, right? There's this aspect that comes from the public perception of what it means to like you have this idea of like what it means to be successful, right? And then you're not seeing that anymore from when you start doing your thing. And so since your perception is not matching the reality, then you tell yourself that it's not working. Then on another aspect, like literally our brains, this is what I've been learning about habits. Our brains are basically designed to fulfill our needs with minimal amount of effort. Like that's the way our whole mind body connection is built, because energy is precious, right? So we're always in this constant assessment mode of like, bang, buck for the bang of energy I'm going to put into it. So, if you go out and you promote a show, or you go out and put a lot of energy to creating a good show, and no one's there, and you like that calculation, that default calculation of like, okay, I put this many hours into it and still no one came, right? From a strictly logical standpoint, you'll be like, this is not worth it. But then we have to remember that we're playing the long game. And this is the mistake that I made earlier on, is that it's the long game. The stories that we see of success in, I mean, really any endeavor, but rap, because that's what we do. That's our chosen craft. They're presented to you like they're overnight, like it just happened, like this stellar sensation just came out of nowhere, right? But then, and I think now in this era, we're actually able to learn the stories of the rappers and the MCs, and I think that's even why now you have so many MCs who are making some type of career out of their craft and their art, because you can actually put your stories out there and people can grow with you. But it's the long game, it's the showing up consistently, playing the long game, and planning, adjusting, learning, getting better, learning how to connect, right? Learning all the things that need to go into being able to reach that audience that's going to really vibe and connect with your stories and your skills. And, it takes time, and it takes longer than we expect. But I think it also happens before we can imagine. So that's how I keep through these moments right now. So I'm seeing some folks come in. When I recognize that one. Is it I4G Beats? Is it the 4 is an A? And then Oblex, you're there. So let's see. I sound melancholy, man. I think I'm just tired. You know what I mean? So I am. I think I just naturally have this calm, laid back, natural speaking voice until you get me going on something, then it picks up. So It's not a, I'm actually in a very good space considering everything. And even just normally, I'm in a good space. Like, had a really, really great cipher last night that was lifting, and just a good day yesterday after a hard midweek where like I was very livid and had to like just take a break and like dry for a little bit. So, and I've learned that too. So that's also what's made it very easy for myself to be able to face made it easy for me to face like the ups and downs of emotions. It's easier for me to face the downs because I've experienced that through the downs. Usually I have a better day tomorrow or the next day. So I know my first name starts with I, and a friend used to call me 4G because I shared the internet to him all the time. So I put it together. Okay. So it is I4G. Okay. Nice. And let's see. You got I'm Lex. I'm so happy, calm, and can sound melancholy, but your voice is extremely silly. Oh, thanks. That's good to hear. It's always good to hear nice things about your voice. So give that tip to people. No matter how they sound, just find a positive thing to say that you like about their voice, because I swear most people are very subconscious about their voice, especially if they haven't heard it for the first time. Tell them, that, hey, I like your voice, even if it's shrill. Your voice has got an exciting quality to it, really makes me pay attention. Cool. Well, y'all, again, this is a drop-in session, so I'm pretty sure, I'm looking at my Zoom monitor right now, but if I check my streaming monitor, the link is there. Yeah, and you can see your comments and everything. So if you want to hop in and ask a question related to MCing, please do so. Right now I'm just talking to hold the space for about another 30 minutes, but I would rather be, talking to some folks. So rather be interacting. So let's see. Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Like a lot of people keep having issues with their voice, and I guess I'll talk on that. Let me see. How do you get into the thing? All right, so do you see I'll put it in the chat too, but the link is there. So you put desmondspan.com/drop-in-chop in your URL browser, and then there'll be a page that gives you all the information. Cool. For someone who is just starting out, my short answer is to start. But where to start? You can start with so many different places. I guess I'm all about the easy win in the beginning, and I've just learned this recently. So to start rapping, I suggest and I think, that's the other thing I wanted to do this month, is actually make some more rap drills for y'all. We'll see how we do that. I'm only one man, but I'll see if I can make that happen. Get a list of rhyming words, and to make it more concrete, get 4 rhyming words and put on the beat and start trying to create lines with those rhyming words. At first, if you can end with those rhyming words, great. If not, and you're just using them however they come up, that's fine. But the main thing is just to start get a streak going to where like you start to get a feel of like what you're capable of doing and where you need some help in, and then start seeking the help in that area, whether it's through actual coaching or through just finding more of these videos and courses online. Coming back to this channel and the various channels. But really, you got to just start and just notice and pay attention to like what comes easy for you, what's challenging for you, and then begin to start dismantling the challenges. So, let's see. Yeah, so getting connected. Let me know if there's any questions about it. Let me see if I could also add. Show you what it looks like maybe. So it'll take you to my webpage, and then let me see if I can get cool. And you will need the Zoom app. There is a way to do it through a browser, but are most of y'all watching this on your mobile phone right now? So, yeah. And I'll try to find, again. Oh, I wanted to share this idea because, one, I want to capture it on on the recording for myself, but I think it's good for other people. Is like, especially like, if you're grown and you got grown responsibilities, family, college debt, a job, and your time is not as you don't have as much time as you used to have in your youth, but you're still trying to, again, make a vision happen, make a dream happen, and you're just struggling for time, and you're over ambitious like myself, where it's like, oh, I got all these ideas, I want to try to make everything great now. I wrote it down. Where is it? Let me make sure I find it. So this phrase came to me yesterday. I don't know if you can see it, but it says, one thing better. Like every week, just try to make one thing better as it relates to a dream or a vision that you're pursuing. Just one thing. Because it's like, for myself, I get over ambitious, and it's like, oh man, I want to do all these things. And then I'm looking at my time availability and my energy availability, to be honest. And it's like, oh, I can't do all this stuff. Oh man. And I do nothing. And it's like, no, okay, this is all the stuff I want to do, but I know I can't do all of it. Let me just make one thing better today, or one thing better this week. And literally my one thing better for this whole drop-in stream is, hey, let's actually have a web page that can host the sign-in information. So I managed to get that done yesterday. It's not perfect. It's might be a little bit confusing to get there, but with the feedback, I'll make the improvements on that, and then that'll be my next one thing better. And it's one thing better. If every week you commit to making one thing better towards your dream, towards your vision, I think you'll be surprised with how far you actually get along in making something happen. You won't make everything happen. Ray Dalio's book has this idea of like, let me see if I can make it. You can get anything you want, but not everything you want. So like, it's just how life is. You can get anything you want, but not everything. So it's really about prioritizing. And so by making that one thing better, you'll start to see what your natural priorities are. And then if you want to start making more things happen, then you also need a team. And that's just me too. I know I need a team. That is in the works, slowly but surely. So, one thing better a week sounds good. I do the same thing Is you overwhelmed with myself, with projects, and then lose motivation. Yeah. The meeting ID is that the number. So if you're at the page, the number is right above the password. So the password is Brianna for Brianna Taylor. And the meeting ID is there. You're a promoter. Nice. Lex, where you at? Where do you promote at? Rep your set. Rep your city. And then I like that feel a little bit better. Jacksonville, Florida area mostly. Yeah. Cool. How's Jacksonville holding up? I mean, in Florida in general, like. I heard like, I don't know if I just read about Corona, and I don't know if it was in Florida or another state in the South, but are the cases relatively high out in Jacksonville or just in Florida? Are people in the streets anyway? Then I4G, how we doing? Can't find it. All right, let me. So let me go back to. All right, so I'll put the meeting ID number in the chat. So I'll put the meeting ID number in the chat here. There. So I4G, I put that. So that's the meeting ID number. Man. I think my next one thing improvement is trying to maybe set up like a form, like kind of like a pre-registration form. So that way can get people lined up. So if you watch Tea with Gary Vee, that's kind of how they do it. I don't know, like, I know you text them or send them a message on what your question is if you're trying to get on the show. And I think Dustin and their team like get you connected. So password is Brianna. That's priority number one for sure. Like keeping your mind right. Okay. I4G Beats has made it. Let's drop in chop. All right, let's do it. All right, audio's connecting. Ask it on boots. Hello.
You hear me?
Yeah, you're coming in slowly. Ooh, you're crackling a lot over there. Oh man. Um, Come in 1 minute. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think 2 nights ago I was watching the protests and I heard I was watching it on the streaming on Twitch with the woke channel, and one of the Portland people were talking about like, oh yeah, man, basically the rural areas that like outside of Portland were even like demonstrating, and I was just like, whoa, that's like crazy. Like that's and I think I guess my understanding on it is like for myself is I know I never put myself in a position or say to myself that there are things like when I'm seeing somebody do something that I necessarily choose not to do, I don't act like I would never do those things or like I could never do those things because I'm not in their situation. I don't know their context. I don't know what their reality is and what their emotional situation is in the context of their life. Because I honestly feel like, you know, if humans are capable of everything, then like even the people that are doing small amount of people who are actually taking advantage of the situation to like loot and riot and destroy things, like I just have not I have not found my limit that would put me into that category. But I believe we all have those limits. I believe we all have a point where things can get so bad that we act in ways that we would, in our normal state condemn and be like, that's, those people are bad for doing blah, blah, blah. And so I just try to I don't condone destruction, definitely don't condone violence. Um, but I hold compassion and empathy to understand, like, um, to understand that, like, to not act like I'm above them because I've just been I've had life circumstances that put me in a situation to where I have not reached that point, that limit. And, I'm not trying to reach that limit, you know? And I think about the grand scheme of all this is like designing a world where people aren't living so close to their limits, financially, emotionally, you know, just spiritually, mentally. Like, if we can just raise the standards of society for all, where like the most confrontational thing that we might do might just be these peaceful protests because there's no one gets to that limit where they feel like they need to tear things down. So that's kind of my stance on it. So, and I try to do my work to help make things better. All right. I4G, we there?
Yeah, we
All right, man.
sorry for English is bad, but I'm Swedish, so I'm
Okay.
not used to talking like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we'll make it work. What question do you have, man? Did you mute again? Nah, you're good, Lex. That was again something to talk about while I get to this. I'm gonna Do you want to like type it in the chat? Is that what you're doing right now? I4G. Say hello to the people, by the way. You're on the show. So I'll do it like that. So I'm going to ask you to unmute. And then if I don't understand something, you could just maybe put it in the chat.
Yeah, I'm muted now, I think.
Cool. What's your question, man?
Yeah, but you have any like tips for similes and metaphors? Because I've gotten stuck like trying to write. Always get stuck there.
Okay. Can you tell me more about how you get stuck?
Like, I just have a hard time coming up with them. It's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know what to write.
Okay. Are you, you said you were Swedish, yeah? Is that what I heard?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you writing, what's the language?
I'm writing in English.
Writing in English?
Yeah. Some in Swedish too, but mostly English.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I wanted to make sure. It's like, because there's some, places where like the language is actually not like the country. So I wasn't sure. Sweden is one of those. Okay, so you're writing in English.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let me ask. It might affect some of my tips. Because I think so. You're just talking about how like, do you normally not speak in English? Is that?
Yeah. Okay. I normally just speak in Swedish, so.
Swedish. Okay. So I guess
so it's like I teach myself English, more English through rapping. So
okay.
I think that makes it like easier in a way.
Okay.
But still harder.
Okay. So the real challenge for you is what I'm assuming is in similes and metaphors in Swedish, like if you were to create those things in Swedish, not a problem for you.
Not as big a problem.
Not as big of a problem? Okay. But then because you're dealing with the whole, like, I'm learning a language and trying to perform the highest form of that language, which is like poetry. So the highest form of language, in my view, and I think a lot of people that back that up, is poetry. Like if you can write poetry in a language, like then you're dealing with multiple layers. Right. So okay. So let's talk about it on the principle of it. So we know that metaphors and similes, at the core principle, is just comparison, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like the understanding I got of it is like similes. That's when you take something and then you put like I'm as big as something, or I'm like this. And like metaphors is you say I am this.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. You got that. So you got the basic understanding of that. So what's the real challenge for you in beyond that basic understanding?
Like just coming up with them and putting them in my lyrics.
Okay.
Say it like that.
Because I mean, you could just like come up with them, right? Like you could just compare two things, and then that's a metaphor. That's a simile. But what else are you trying to do that's on top of that comparing that's making it challenging for you?
I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to explain.
Okay. So I think then maybe start with like, so here's the thing that I believe, and and it's a belief that frees my pen, if you will. It allows me to be able to not get as stuck as I used to. The belief is all ideas connect.
Yeah.
So what that means is I pull this up here and this thing right here, right? There's
Yeah,
similarities between these two things, right? Off the top of my head, they're both solid. They're both hard.
yeah,
They're both my favorite color. I like blue and black.
yeah. I can get to that stage, but then it's like hard putting it in writing form, like in rap form. Like
And
I
they're
can
rap.
find, yeah,
Okay. So you got that basic part. So is it a matter of like I'm going to use the subjective term coming up with quote unquote good metaphors and similes?
uh, you can say that.
Say that. Okay. How about this? Can you give me an example of a line that you've recently written that you might want to try to add a metaphor or simile to?
I don't know. I got one that's like a metaphor. I think it's like
Okay.
see me succeed and haters become the ocean, salty because I'm chasing all my dreams with devotion. So
Okay. So haters become the ocean.
yeah, because they salty. That's like weak.
So you think that's weak?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay. What's weak about it?
I don't know. I just I'm really self-critical, so I think that might be why.
That might be the real challenge because I mean, like, I heard that and I'm like, okay, that's cool. And like haters become the ocean.
Yeah,
And I mean, the reason why you said that, did you actually even say salty in any of those lines?
yeah. The line after, salty because I'm chasing all my dreams with devotion.
Okay. Um, Forgive me because, like, audio for me to hear it. Um,
Yeah,
no, like, and so, I mean, since you actually put so you had no problem coming up with it. It's,
it took a while.
it took a while. Well, I think it
Yeah,
might have taken a while because, like, okay, so it took a while for you to come up with it, and then your response to it was like weak, like that's how you feel about it, like
I
and
think that it's one of the better ones, but I
yeah,
still think I can improve.
okay, so what? I guess here's all right. So here's what we're getting into now. So remember, I was talking to you about that whole idea of like creating a good metaphor and a good simile.
Yeah,
Like that's the whole idea of what's good comes from your subjective opinion on what's good.
mm,
So if you are having really high standards for like metaphors and similes because you're probably comparing it to like your top five MCs, right? Then that's going to have you judge your own work more harshly
yeah,
than if you were to really think of it like, does the metaphor that I'm using convey what I want to say? And if it does, then there's at least a level of like, all right, it holds up. Now,
yeah,
if you want to make it more like I think of it on a scale of, and I don't know if I made a video about this, but I feel like I've talked about it a few times. Like there's a scale of clarity and then lyrical. You could also say clear and complex or simple and complex,
yeah,
right? And it's a scale. And both are good. Being lyrical is good, being clear is good. It's when like what you did in that line, haters become the ocean by saying salty. Like at first I didn't hear salty because of the audio was kind of low.
yeah,
So if like salty wasn't in there, you took that line out, then the metaphor is less clear and more lyrical. It still
yeah,
conveys your point though, because I mean, even before I heard the word salty, I'm thinking about haters become the ocean, and I'm thinking about like hate being everywhere, like the ocean is everywhere, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
like it still holds up, even though my interpretation is slightly different than what you were initially connecting. Like you're connecting haters. Like if we're flow webbing it out, it would be like haters, salty ocean, and then you just use haters and ocean together.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I would say the first tip is just take off the adjust your standards, right? Don't use your subjective judgment of like if it's good or bad because that has no. The only thing that I think really good or bad does for you is either give you energy or take energy away from what you're doing. But
Mm.
you can do it. You can judge it by okay, lyrical and clear. And if I'm trying to be lyrical and this is too clear, meaning like okay, it's too obvious, then let me take some things away, right? Let me take
Yeah,
salty away, so now it's more for up for interpretation, and thus it's more lyrical. But if I really want to be clear about what I'm saying, I want you to know that I'm saying, you know, salty, so that it lands and that people are just like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
right? And those are choices. No choice is bad. It's just a matter of the choice that you want to make in that moment and letting go of if it's, you know, good or bad. Because I mean, the idea, what I like about that line, beyond just the metaphor and assembly part of it, is that like haters become the ocean is like instantly, boom, I got an image in my head with that,
yeah,
right? Versus saying haters become salty, that's a hip hop cliche.
yeah,
So you take a cliche, you look at it a little bit differently, and then now it's like alive again. Versus, a lot of beginner rappers will, use all the cliches they hear, right?
yeah.
Haters are salty. I
I
should I
think
should
I'm
make a list.
always gonna feel like a beginner, even though I learn more.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
mean, beginner's mind.
lately, yeah, but lately I feel like it's become harder to write, like than it were in the beginning. But
Yeah.
I think the substance of my lyrics are like, I think it's better now than in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's just then I just wrote anything,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's more. I'm putting more thought into the writing process. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think don't. And here's my, I guess my second tip is don't the work that it takes to create your lyrics, especially since you're putting more thinking into them, don't equate that with it being good or bad. So you
yeah,
remember when I told you earlier too about how like really having a subjective judgment about like, oh, this is good or this is bad is really just affects your energy.
yeah,
So when you think something is bad, it takes more energy. You're probably feeling down. You eventually end up stopping. So writing does take energy. Thinking takes energy. So we can, and I think the emotional body does this, like because it takes energy and you feel that energy draining out of you, it's
yeah,
easier to judge something as bad because you're having the experience of energy draining out of you, but it's
yeah,
not actually bad. It's just, oh, I've been writing for an hour. I'm getting tired,
yeah. But
you
I
know?
have like this. I wouldn't call it goal, but like I have this like guideline. I write at least 16 bars every day, and I've
Nice.
done that for a while. And it's like sometimes it's better, sometimes it's just I just put like rhymes together.
Yeah. And that's completely okay. And then I guess my
Yeah,
next, since you're writing every day, if you have, I mean, even if you don't have production, do a acapella, but
yeah.
start
I'm producing my own beats too.
your own beats. Okay.
Like
Okay.
I don't have like a big income or anything, and I
Right.
don't know anyone else that does like music, so it's like I
Yeah.
just I just do it myself.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's how I started with this same thing is, made my own
Yeah,
stuff. And And I mean, and that's the other thing. I might even make a special. I'm getting so many ideas from having this conversation, like how to rap when you produce as well. But
Yeah,
it's energy, right? So you might, if you make a beat, the beat gets you inspired, you start writing to that beat, and then by the end of the session, you're feeling differently about the beat. You're feeling differently about what you've written, and
yeah,
it doesn't necessarily mean that what you've written is really bad or good, because again, that's a subjective judgment. Really, that should just be determined by whoever is going to listen to it, right?
yeah,
But so instead of having that reaction of like, okay, I'm, it's bad or good in the middle of it, you let that be more of an indication that like, oh, where's my energy level at? I'm noticing that I'm not feeling this right now. I'm thinking that it's bad, and it's not. I'm telling myself stories that this is not good enough or it's not reaching my standard, right? Am I tired? Do I need to take a break? Like, tell yourself that and take a break, but don't actually condemn the verse or the beat,
yeah,
because that is merely your opinion of it. You could put out probably what you think is your worst verse, and somebody's gonna be like, "Hey, man, that's cool,"
yeah,
you know. And you could put out what you think is your best verse, and crickets.
yeah,
So it's just how and this is the artist struggle. This is the shift that we have to make mentally of like, we go from being fans and appreciating the culture and having our judgments about and having good taste about what we like, and then we go to try to do it ourselves, and then it gets in a way of our process of growing because you
yeah.
know we equate all
I've,
that
uh,
together.
I've always wanted to like work with music, but I like got straight away from that path like some time ago, and now I'm back on it, or how you say. But I
Mm-hmm.
always felt like before, like I can't rap because like I don't know, I'm just like this white kid, and I don't got like the big talent from the start.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's like
we
I've realized that you need to work on the craft to get like better.
yeah, yeah. And I mean that I think I personally believe like talent is not necessarily like a thing. I think it's more of like,
Talent is like a result of hard work.
yeah, I think
That's
what
how I see
people,
it.
yeah, I think that's like the story, right? Like after you do the hard work and people see, oh, you're so talented. That's the story they're telling about what they've seen you do. I do believe there's
Yeah,
like things that we all have gifts and abilities and things that just kind of like come easy to us. But I don't think the gift of rapping comes easy. I think of maybe like for me, I was always surrounded around music, so me being able to find a beat and like nod my head to it and match pitch, that's just something that I've always had with me.
yeah,
And so it's harder for me to even like break that down enough to like teach it. I mean, I found the way, but because I just innately been able to hear patterns and kind of just, you know, nod my head to it, it was there, right? And
yeah,
that's all products of our, I mean, getting into psychology and all this stuff now too, like products of our conditioning, what we grew up in, DNA. There's a lot of musicians in my family, right? But
yeah.
that doesn't guarantee that I can be a rapper, right? So
No,
we all have abilities, and it's but it doesn't matter if we're not willing to do the work to
spend
develop.
the time working on.
Yeah.
Because
So
for me, it's like been good all this like Corona shit now. Just like I have to stay home from school and work from home, and then
mhm.
it's become like I only study for tests, and then I work on music all day. So it's like good for me
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that sense.
I know it's gonna be hard. Like I mean, I don't know. Um, we're trying to phase back into things, but I know it's gonna be hard for some folks to like people don't want to go back to the way things were, and I think that's a lot of what
Yeah,
these protests are about too. It's like
yeah,
the way things were wasn't really working for everybody, And now that we have time, we had time to look at that and see that, and to really process that. Like, we need to make some changes. So, cool, man. Well, thank you for jumping in, asking your question. You're more than welcome to
Yeah, no problem.
hop back in. I'm gonna do this with you on the call just because it was probably faster that way. But I'm gonna kind of talk to folks tuning in and watching. So this has been, the drop and chop session. I'm gonna do at least in June. I'm gonna do these Saturday morning between 8:30 a.m. and Pacific,
Yeah.
9:30.
Wait, is it 8:30 for you now?
It's about 9:30, like 9:37 right now.
Okay. It's
So
wait, whoa.
what time is it there?
Yeah, it's 20 minutes to 9. No, to wait, to 7 in the evening.
Okay. So, and you are in Sweden, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is cool. Coaching all over the world. I love it. Um, can you touch on? I'm sorry, I'm reading this question now. Can you touch on that producing and rapping side thing more? Yeah. I'm gonna do it.
What?
I'll probably one, Danny, next Saturday, hop in the drop and chop session, ask your question about it, and we can chop it up about the rapper producer journey, because that's its own thing. I started as a producer, then became rapper, MC. Well, I guess how it really, well, yeah, it was producer because I was making beats. Then I was still making beats, but then became a poet, and then as I merged my poetry with my beat making, MCing, did that for probably like 5 to 10 ish years in early 2000s, and then life, join a band, and then it's like, okay, I produce music with the band, play keys, rap with them, and then I write poetry in verses now. But I haven't been producing my own beats in quite some time because of how much work it takes, and I'm married and I got a 2-year-old and all that stuff. So, and I have a lot of other things I'm trying to do. So, but yes, try to hop in, man. Next week. All right, so here's all the the promo stuff that I got to do. I4G, I thank you. You can hop out if you want.
Yeah.
And
Thank you
th-
for the
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, and come
The
back
tips.
through. Next week.
Yeah,
Stay in
sure.
contact. All that good stuff. All right, I will see you. Let me see if I can do it. All right, I'll rename. Just do it like that, I guess. Boom. All right. Um, cool. So thank you for watching. To support the channel and support the work that is going on here at RhymeMasters, you can become a member of the channel. Right now, I have the first level set up at just basically $5 a month, and you're gonna get access to. So you get access to. You're gonna start getting access to like some of these longer form content pieces that I'm doing, because I'm realizing that like there are people who are really committed, and I want to make sure that they get I won't say the best of what I'm doing, but they get the early access, the deep dives, the me working. I feel like seeing the process of like really developing a practice around emceeing is helpful, because it gets us out of this idea of like the easy way to freestyle, the easy way to write songs. Like, I'm not trying to teach you hard ways, but I'm also trying to not be like, hey, here are all the shortcuts. Like, I'm not about shortcuts. I'm about developing skills for life. I believe emceeing is a life skill because of how it helps you cultivate your voice physically and metaphysically, as well as become who you want to be in the world. So I want to provide long form. You'll get early access to the long form content. You also get discounts on coaching with me. So if this is not enough, and you want to have some deeper dialogue with me, you get discounts on that for being a member of the channel. So yeah, you can support the channel that way, and there'll probably be some other ways. I have Venmo and blah 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 that I'll put up as the weeks go out. But otherwise, you can always support by just liking the video, liking the content, liking the content, sharing it with anybody you think would be into it, engaging in the comments, letting me know just what's working for you, what you want to hear more of. So yeah, I've this time is, as I think, as for all of us, is giving us time to really assess what's important and how we want to contribute in the world with our art. And I know that for myself, in addition to my own art and my own expression, I really do find joy in like working with people and helping them just express themselves through this craft and discover who they are. So that's what this is all about. So yeah, and then yeah, I'm on all the channels. I'm mostly engaged on Instagram at DLUXTL. That's Deluxe TL. So you can follow me there if you're so inclined. RhymeMasters Official is on the Instagram as well. I'll probably be making some more content for that coming up soon. But you know, I came up with this phrase, let's grow and glow together, because this is a growing experience. So it's going to be cool to see what becomes of this in like the next few months. It's going to be interesting to see what becomes of the world in the next few months. So as long as things are relatively normal, I plan on being here, helping y'all. So again, thank you. Stay connected, and I will see y'all at least next Saturday. All right. Adios. Now we do when I'm teaching classes online, I do the whole bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Like I'm a flight attendant. All right.